Combs, the podcast about Jeffrey Combs for creeps. My name's Jamie. My voice sounds like this.
My name is Matt. My voice sounds like this.
My name is Bunny. My voice sounds like this.
My name is Shandy. My voice sounds like this.
My name is Jake, and my voice sounds like
I
this.
don't know why you're talking like that. Tonight we watched Dead Man Walking, 1988. But first, let's do the previous minutes from the last podcast. We watched Cyclone
We
with
did.
Matt and Janine and Bunny and myself. It was okay. Jeffrey died halfway through.
Yeah. We didn't talk about the dessert.
We didn't talk about
Yeah,
dessert.
we missed dessert
We
last
missed all
time.
sorts of shit. I always give a little pep talk at the beginning, say, don't worry, I'll forget. I'll remember everything. I got a list, so just do what you do, and I forget to say stuff all the time. So what we're finding out is that I shouldn't be in charge of that.
Why is this string on my finger?
Exactly. But Cyclone was okay. What did we eat that night?
We had a cinnamon swirl cake
Oh, that's
because
right.
I thought that cyclone meant that the movie was going to be about tornadoes of some sort.
Yep.
So I went with a swirly cake.
about a-
Really, it was a tenuous sort of.
It was a bike that came with a helmet that shot
Yeah.
lasers.
Yeah.
But it did precious little biking or lasering through the whole movie.
No, it had some pretty ladies on it. That was about it.
Yeah, there's some boobs.
There was some.
There was, and
was.
our man Jeffrey kicked it way too soon.
But he lived in the computer, remember? And
Yeah.
We were hoping.
You
were
wanted
hoping.
him to
Be the bike.
come back in his consciousness to be in the bike and be
did.
talking to his girlfriend, but that didn't happen.
It didn't.
That's a different. That's the.
I'm still hurt.
That's the Christopher Nolan gritty reboot.
Still waiting for that.
It's sort of the plot to Heat Vision and Jack too, that Owen Wilson and Jack Black show, which never took off, and no one's ever seen.
No.
No. So I guess what would we do for the recipe this time then?
I just said F it, team going with the theme, and I went with pumpkin pie spice blondies because it's fall. I love fall. I love fall.
Who doesn't
My
love
my
fall?
big chunky sweaters and my boots.
Yeah, you're stereotypical.
PSL.
White girls love fall.
Apparently.
So I made pumpkin spice. They were great. White chocolate chips, lots of whipping cream.
Caramel. There was
So
caramel
tasty.
in there.
Tons of caramel.
Pumpkin spice kind of cake base with a cake topping, and then caramel in the middle with lots of whipping cream. It was sugar.
That was great.
Yeah.
I guess we.
Paula Dean would be proud.
She would. There wasn't enough butter
I think she would
or
have deep
racism,
fried it
though.
and put some vegetables on top.
Open up a can of sweet corn.
He made a comment about certain people.
Yeah, exactly.
Topical. Anything else to bring to the table, ladies and gentlemen? Nope.
This fucking movie.
Yeah, this fucking movie. Might as well get right into it. So let's get into the comb over. Dead Man Walking, starring Hauser, Wings. Brian James, who you know from Blade Runner, and actually.
He's
No,
been in.
that's all.
He's been in other things.
He's
too.
in a
Like-
million things.
Yeah, he's peppered all over the place as like
he's
a
the
random
guy at the
character.
beginning of the Blade Runner when they give him the test about the turtle being on its back and everything.
Yeah, gives you
he shoots the guy under the table.
Yeah.
So spoiler. Sorry.
If you haven't seen
Sorry
Blade
to
Runner,
spoil
by
the first 15 minutes of Blade Runner. Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, fuck you.
Stop.
This is your punishment. Just go watch it.
To the people who aren't listening to this, stop this podcast and watch Blade Runner, and then come back to not listening.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah. And who else is it? All right, our man Jeffrey, and he gets an "and" credit in this, so it's Wings, Hauser. No, sorry, Hauser, Wings. It's great. Let's talk about that. His face is gigantic.
Yeah.
There's a certain wonderful sweet period in the 70s and the 80s where giant face men could get leading roles. Wings Hauser is perfect.
He looks a lot like David Hasselhoff.
with extra chin.
Hasselhoff, yeah. He's been in a million television and movie things. He was in Beastmaster 2, one of the test episodes we did for this podcast. He was the bad guy, Archon or something.
Arklon.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Marklar.
Yeah, but Wings Hauser, Hasselhoff, Eric Estrada, a fourth example. So just these huge faced gentlemen that were everywhere. And Wings, oh my god.
It looks like his
Ron
face has
Perlman.
been photoshopped onto his head,
Yeah.
and then they haven't like adjusted the ratio of face to head yet.
So
Poorly
let's do-
photoshopped. Only that's actually his face.
Oh, before we get into the comb over the movie, let's talk about how hard it was to find this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was not easily findable on, say, the Pirate Bay or other reputable torrent
Or even
sources.
legal means, I might add. I looked on every streaming site possible, even like finding it off Amazon. It was all VHS stuff that was going to take forever to get here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we actually had to go to the darkest corners of the internet.
Yeah, I got Johnny Mnemonic to stick it in his brain and bring it here for us via...
Even torrenting. Like
Via Dolphin.
We found a terrible VHS rip. Like it's got lots of tracking errors and what have you.
It was originally captured in interlaced mode, and it looked like it's been re-encoded like twice. So there's plenty of artifacts and shittiness.
It's an art project at this point.
Yeah.
The sound wasn't bad considering, but that's what we had to go through to find this film. It was never put out on DVD. You'll find out why soon once we explain this movie.
If you want to go through the hassle of actually finding it.
Yeah, but some of the other ones either had big ones like Tanya. We just watched Cyclone. She was big because of the Fall Guy and what have you. And Martin Landau was in that movie. And Frightmare was put up by Trauma, so we could find that. This was put on VHS by a production company I'd never heard of before or since. Yeah, and
With good reason.
Yeah, so it was hard to find, but for sakes of completion, we found it. So we might as well get into it, the comb over. So we are starting on stock footage. We get the crawl, the Star Wars crawl.
Yeah, and they read it to us.
Oh yes,
There's a woman reading it to us. I don't know if she was
Exposition.
I don't know who it was. I'm not sure if it was like the daughter character.
It might have been, but
There's been like a plague, and it happened like 600 years ago.
So they were talking about the plague in the 1600s.
yeah, they started in 1350 something, talking about how Asia and other parts of the world were decimated by the Black Plague.
is in Europe around 13.
And then it says 200 years later, or
600.
six centuries later, another plague hits.
So it's 1997, something like that.
Yeah, they said it was 1997 because I guess this movie was made in 1987, so it's like 10 years in the future.
88, I think, but you're right.
Yeah. It was probably written in 87
Yeah,
and
good point, yeah.
released in 88. This movie begins, I guess, do we start in the car with the executive and his daughter?
I thought we started in the shitty bar.
Yeah.
I think we. I thought. Did we go do Shitty Bar first?
Yeah.
Was it the roulette bar where everyone?
Yeah.
Well, but during the roll-up credits, they do explain that there is a certain mutated version of this plague that no longer is contagious, but you still have, what did they say, 1 to 2 years?
Yeah.
So there's a timeline above your head. You know you're going to die.
Zero Men?
Zero Men, yeah. And so what it's done is it's created a lot of these zero men have gone erratic. Like they just...
The behavior's erratic, I think.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
So basically, I got nothing to do, so I'm going to do what I want. And all the ones that have done it are all these big, huge, muscular roid monkeys that are just like, I'm going to die anyway, who cares? So they
go to this bar where they play like versions of Russian roulette.
What's the bar look like?
It looks like a room with some neon on the wall, and there are dudes that are like sitting at shitty tables playing like the knife game from Aliens.
But all the candles, it's like they went and pillaged an Italian restaurant first for the candles. Like those red like glass candles, just to add a touch of class to the roulette bar.
It's classy.
It's actually called the roulette bar. But it's just weird. It's supposed to convey that no one really cares.
Fatalistic or whatever. They're playing with like a chainsaw dangling from a...
That's right. So we meet them where? What are they doing with the chainsaw bunny?
They're playing Russian roulette, so they're putting up to each other's necks, and then they're pulling the cord once, and if it starts, well, you're screwed, and if it's not, then you change turns, take turns,
and
right?
this is the first time we're introduced to our...
Hauser, Karma Wings.
His name is Luger.
Yes,
that is not mentioned lots in the movie.
No, 2 or 3 times. I don't think it's at the beginning, but he's playing the chainsaw roulette game against another mean motherfucker who ends up spluttering blood all over the room.
Yeah, there's a spray because we don't see him die.
It's a very minimal blood spray for what it would have been.
Again,
that would have cost money to do like a gore shot of that.
Yeah.
So we're just we get.
But they do linger on the dead guy. Did they?
All dead guys, not that one. No, that one you just hear the sound of the chainsaw, and there's very minimal spray. It's like,
I would have expected more.
quite a bit more actually.
I'm not convinced actually, because this movie was a trial. If this happened first or it was the car, but it doesn't matter. We introduced Wings at this bar.
Yeah.
His giant face, and then he doesn't give a shit. So I think he has one of those tattoos. So I think he's a zero, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a zero man.
And he doesn't give a shit. And then we go cut to a 1980s limousine driving around the plague areas with a businessman and his daughter being driven around by our man Jeffrey.
Chaz.
Yeah.
It's one or two Zeds.
He's wearing an ill-fitting suit, black gloves, and he's got a silver streak through his hair.
He's got a little skunk scream.
Yeah, really cute. He's about 28 years old. Maybe you should sit a little closer, Boo. He's 28 years old and looking pretty good considering. Creeping him out. Excuse me. Okay, so what are they doing in the back of the car?
The daughter implies that she wants to see the plague people. I think it's her first line. She's like, I want to see the plague people.
Come on, Daddy. She's like begging her dad, who's just immersed in his work.
Yeah, she's like the detached rich people.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific about their outfit we should mention at this point?
Well, she's wearing like this weird, like triangular, like blazer / thing in the same metallic fabric that her dad's suit is in. It's not like really shiny, but it's like a silverish fabric.
She also has puffy blue gloves on.
There we go. That's what I was leaning towards. The strange blue gloves and accessories throughout this, but hers are especially like blue gloves. We're assuming that it's plague related, not supposed to touch anything or what have you.
Yeah, and it's also like the color of the Unitas Corporation's logo, although it's yellow in other parts of the movie.
It's most often blue, though. Yeah.
Here's where I lose track of this movie because
right at the beginning,
it gets so fucking tedious with them driving around looking plague victims, and I guess Wings Hauser being Hausery that I don't remember what is really happening here. And do we get? Is this the first time we're exposed to one of the newscasts?
Yeah, we get
in this same introduction.
Yeah,
thing.
and it's the guy from RoboCop, Casey Wong from RoboCop, and some other lady, and it's like the.
You mean the guy who did the satirical news stuff in the RoboCop movie the year before this came out?
Yeah. And it's like the corporate news. It's the Unitas Corporation news.
Yeah, it also shows that Unitas basically controls the media. They control.
Yeah. They also wear blue.
Yeah, they also wear blue.
They're all wearing blue.
And they were talking about the recall of suicide kits that were actually ineffective because they were harmless.
Yeah. So a lot of like heavy-handed satire that works really well, obviously, in something like RoboCop, but it's pretty just goofy.
Yeah, it's really detached from the narrative largely. It's more part of the world, but in RoboCop it works better because RoboCop's in the news for most of the movie, whereas here
it's clumsy world building.
Yeah. And there's too much of it. Like there's only 3 news segments in RoboCop. But there's like 8 in this movie.
Are there that many?
Yeah, maybe it seemed like 8, but
there was too many.
Yeah. So there was like 30 or 40 oil refinery shots later.
Yes.
Oh, we're also during this point we're also interspersed between oil refinery shots.
Like crazy.
We're introduced to the Brian James character, Decker,
breaking out of high security prison.
Yeah, we see him coming out of a prison, and they beat him up, and then some buddies are gonna break out of they're transporting him somewhere. It's interesting that his name was Decker, considering Brian James is known for Blade Runner, and that's Harrison Ford's character's name. Is that interesting? Anyways, it's true.
May not be interesting, but it's true, and that counts for something, damn it.
Yes. So through this tedious convalescence, this Venn diagram of these things happening that take forever, we eventually get to the point where Decker escapes from the truck.
Well, he shoots the guard that's in the back with him, and takes the gun and shoots one of the other prisoners.
Well, he was hurt already. He had gotten injured or something.
He shot him in the head.
He put him out of his misery.
Like you said, Jake, this is the first time we really noticed them lingering on death shots. Like, guys are getting shot in the head all the time, and the camera just sits there for quite a few beats.
And it stares at them too long, and it's not even just death shots. It's not even just the refinery shots. It's in this movie, a lot of shots shots that you normally don't notice too much in a regular movie because they're just quick and move you to the next setting, move you to the next thing, you know, like they segue into other parts, but they're just so fast. In this, they linger, or they do doubles or triples, or even more.
Yeah, we got 3 angles of this, so let's use them all.
And they and just like the death, like a guy will drop and they're like, it's like they're so proud of this bullet wound they made on the person. They hold it there for a minute.
Yeah, these shots, I guess, like you're saying that you don't really notice, are this movie.
Yeah.
A lot of sort of lingering and can't say anything else but lingering. Tedious. We've come
Tedious
around.
and lingering.
Really should have brought around with us.
They always linger. They become tedious.
Oh, we were getting so bored at this point that we were having a discussion on whether what the difference between the chode and the taint was.
That's right.
And whether
Bunny
chode and
found the
taint
definition.
is the same thing.
So we suggested it get Googled.
Yeah, then we should Google it. And then Bunny Googled it. And what was the first thing that came up, Bunny, when it came to the definition of a chode? Do you remember what it was exactly?
Hold
Are you looking
on.
it up? Yeah.
It's a chode is a bunch of people that sit around and argue over the definition of the word chode. That's the first result from Urban Dictionary. But to settle it once and for all, it is a synonym for taint.
Good to know.
It's chode
Really?
taint.
Yeah, which I was actually sort of disappointed. I was under the misconception that it was actually the space between the base of the penis and the testicles, and that it had its own special little name. called
That's
the
like,
chode.
that's that space between the testicles and the root, as you would call it.
No.
The root doesn't really exist. It's like a tree falling or the sound of one hand clapping. It's something you meditate on because that's sort of a dynamic. Sort
Where
of
does it? Where do
does
the
it
balls
begin? Yeah,
start,
exactly, yeah.
and where does the where you're
Some people have attained enlightenment thinking of that question.
Others just become
So again,
codes.
that's how
boring this
that's
was.
how uninterested we were in this.
And we're only like 15 minutes into it at
Oh,
this
God,
point.
yes.
But to be fair, that related to penises, which related to talking about wings somehow.
Wing.
I think we were speculating on his penis size, weren't we?
Were we?
Possibly.
Part of the movie. Come on, guys.
Yeah. So they get out. They obviously stop the limousine.
Yeah, but the 2 prisoners that are kept alive, there's a gentleman of color and a gentleman of weasel.
Gentleman of Weasel. He totally is. Yeah.
And the gentleman of color lies down in front of this pass that the limousine has to go through, and so the oil executive / evil bossy man tells Jeffrey to get out and move him, and he's like, oh, what if he's plaguey? And he's like, I don't care, it's your job to move him or drive
He
over
just
him.
gestures like,
Get on with it, buddy.
I got stuff to do. I'm reading papers.
Yeah, I've got blueprints for another refinery.
Yep.
And so Jeffrey puts on his gloves and he's like, you can't move him. It takes for fucking ever.
like every scene in this movie.
Yeah. Forever.
And then the guy, the oil executive is like, what's taking so long? Gets out of the car to see what's happening. And then they all get jumped by the prisoners.
Yeah.
And, and
They kill Dad.
Yep.
yeah,
his dad.
right
yeah,
away.
he gets,
He was just a non-character for
They-
being the
yeah.
CEO of the biggest corporation that this movie is
Exactly.
focused
They
around.
take the daughter and say, I like you, I'm going to keep you. And they put Jeffrey and a couple other people.
Yeah, the dude that got
Well, they just
shot in the
chucked him
head,
in
and then the dead president in the back.
Dead presidents? You mean the Benjamins, right?
Yeah.
Some Andrew Jacksons. Sweet Andrew Jacksons.
Is it the next scene that they? Yeah, that basically describes the movie.
I think
Cops find Jeffrey. Jeffrey was actually in love with that chick, so now he's got to find bounty hunters. to
Yeah, the
basically
cops.
track-
That was the next scene, right? They come up. He's in the back of the van, screaming and yelling.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
cops aren't gonna do shit, so Jeffrey has to find someone.
And so he wanders the wasteland until he finds the shitty suicide bar.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
what the name was. All it has lights that are askew on the front and neon.
Wasn't it Club Death or something?
No, that's later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cafe Death.
And
Yeah.
You're giving it away.
he goes in there and he asks around at the bar to like, is there anybody tough that's awesome around here? And
yeah,
Pretty much what he says.
And the bartender's like, fuck you, and the girl that sits beside him is like, oh, that guy that's sitting over there trying to do something at the table, he's kind of awesome. So he goes and sits down with him, and it's Wings Hauser, aka Luger, who is defusing a time bomb in the middle of a bar just for shits and giggles.
People beside him are playing Russian with a revolver, and he tells Jeffrey to hold this while he defuses it, right? With the classic countdown timer.
And again, it's another huge waste of this scene because we've already been in this bar. We've already seen that people play Russian roulette. They've already panned it out and played both guys. This guy clicks, this guy clicks. Oh, the tension grows. And now we get to see another random two people in the movie playing the same game, and they continue. They still cut back and forth.
Yeah. Existence is nothingness.
The only part that it plays is that it makes him tense while he's defusing the bomb. Finally, one of them gets shot like 2 seconds before the bomb's supposed to go.
But they also still show that he doesn't clearly give a shit about anybody else in the. It's like, oh, it wasn't our
himself or anyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't care either.
Yeah, our depths of caring really is challenged by.
So Chaz pitches him the job.
Yeah, he's like, this guy Decker has escaped and he's got my girl. Will you help me? And he's like, oh, Decker.
Yeah.
He doesn't really give a shit about money. Can't take it with you.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, I'll catch that guy. He's a piece of shit. Or it'd be great if I could because of the challenge. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, his motivations in this towards him are never really made 100%.
My motivations for making this podcast are now being called into question.
So we jump in the back of his shitty Pinto.
Oh, it's totally
it's like an El Camino Pinto.
Yeah, they cut the back out.
Yeah, they cut the dome window off of it, and it's got it's sort of like a Pinto cum dune buggy.
Yeah, they've jacked it a bit. Yeah.
It's got like the four-way lights on the front
and the off-road tires.
And they're going through the wilderness seeking Decker.
The plague zone.
In the plague zone.
Which I heard first as the vague zone, but obviously plague zone makes more sense.
Yes.
Does it?
It's only slightly
Only
more
slightly.
descriptive.
The vague zone. Where are they? I don't know.
I think there's some refineries.
By a refinery.
Yeah, shots of, as you said, look like Edmonton. Yeah, interspersed
Detroit.
with shots of the desert.
Yeah, definitely Detroit. Anywhere in Texas, really.
Mm-hmm. Texarkana.
And then they go to a bunch of places, and they're looking for him. They have a little wanted poster for him, and they go to this place, this Unitas Corporation base, where it's like got stairs that go down in underground.
Oh, it's the body collection.
Or body counters,
and supply thing, yeah.
Yeah, and they're somewhat implying that they take the bodies in the machine and it pumps out like a brick. Yeah. So I don't know if it's like Soylent Green or whatever.
Well, and it creates cans of product that he was putting on the shelves. So there's definitely food, but I'm not sure. It came out like a square, thin. It looked like
a ream of
pillow
paper.
or something like it. It's like, what is this? It doesn't look anything like what you would think a packaged body or waste product of a packaged body would look like, but it's like paper thin, square. I don't know, weird, and some tins come out. It didn't really show him come out, but he did say that he puts them up on the shelf, and Wings was having a look at them.
I think, and this is the first time we noticed that
the blue shelf.
The blue shelf.
Yeah. The blue shelf.
Which they picked blue, which is the company colors. They have very specific blue, and it's
very vivid.
They painted a shelving unit, and they throw some guy against the shelving unit. But that's when we noticed that the shelving unit is essentially in every single scene as a piece in the background, to make the world look more dirty and everything. Yeah. Which would have been fun if it was like a brown shelf or something
but it's a
like
vivid
that.
Blue thing.
It's very clearly the same Smurf blue shelf through the entire.
It's like the roaming gnome of the wasteland. Just there it is, that damn shelf.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what exactly they're just looking for. Dickhead.
Yeah, they show him the wanted poster and they say, "Oh, it's $10,000 that we get for bringing him in. Can you help us? Have you seen this jackass?" And he's like, "Fuck no, get out of here." And
fuck no.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's like, "I don't have
in a very
time
long-winded scene."
Yeah. So they're like, "Okay, we'll take off," and they leave. And then as luck might have it, Decker and his crew
Come to the same random little spot in the wilderness.
Yeah, and they're like, they go in there and they kill Dickhead and his buddy, and that's where the blue shelf gets mangled
Again?
yeah. Oh no, they didn't wreck it there. It was Decker and his crew that built
They
that
just pushed the guy into it, right?
Yeah,
And then they shoved him in the machine or something.
Yeah.
The stomper machine.
Yeah, they put the manager in there alive compared to the other guy, which they killed first.
Another close-up shot of a head wound, like he shoots him right in the head, and it lingers.
Yeah.
Would you have to let it linger?
We need to make up time.
Okay, no.
And so in the process of doing this, I think we may have skipped this, but Decker has sort of elicited like a Stockholm syndrome response in the daughter. I think one of the prisoners attempts to rape.
Yes, there's no thing. He definitely does attempt to rape here, but
Well, yeah, he straight up says, "I think she wants it." So both guys start to go for
charming, but that's exactly what we were looking for in a movie.
Yeah,
it's so necessary.
That's good screenwriting. Where it's like, you know what? What makes people look bad? Rape. Yeah, that's good. That's the ticket. So Brian, because whatever, just
he kicks their asses, and then he arrives to it. He's like painted himself with like oil or something. And this his appearance looks like a little different than when he first broke out. He's in his zone now, and he in the process of saving her, he like holds the knife that the guy was using. So much that just to freak him out, and his hands all cut up.
Who was it that said that he never did anything? He just grabbed people's knives and just scared the shit out of them, and that his tendons are actually cut in that. So if he actually got to a fight, he would just have to sort of slap fight you the whole time because he has no fine motor movement.
Yeah, Matt was like, fine motor skills are actually highly overrated.
Yeah, he can't fight at all. He just scares the shit out of people by grabbing their knives.
That was the funniest thing. It's like, and it makes me wonder, like, that. Why would you write that? That this doesn't make sense. The guy pulls a knife on him, so I understand they're trying to make him look big, but he grabs the blade, but he doesn't reef the knife away from him. He just sits there and squeezes it harder and harder until the guy just lets go of the knife and lets him kill him. I'm like,
no, they don't. He doesn't kill either one of them yet.
No, they're still his minions.
Those are his lackeys. Yeah,
he needs them.
He just roughs them up. Yeah, that's the guy. Kind of
don't touch my girl.
Yeah.
And he takes the blood and he paints the rest of his face with it, and he paints the daughter's face with it. Then he puts some on his lips, and they make out with his plaguey blood all over her, and she's got a plaguey fetish going on.
Yeah, so she's totally
totes
the gang
into it.
Totes into it.
So from now on, whenever we see her character, she has her shirt open with her bra out, and she's just turned all.
Yeah, she's in the gang now.
She actually sexual.
She's a plague sexual, and she wears a prison outfit, so signifying that she's crossed over.
Yeah, showing your sexuality is a sign of dysfunction. We all know this, you guys. Yeah, these guys,
especially when women do
they're just laying it out for us.
Daddy's little girl wants some plague dick.
No, sir. So from plague dick, where are we? I don't remember.
Then
I'm so amazed you remember all of this shit.
Every time it blows my mind.
It is just a smear. I don't want to ruin your job here, but we could actually just say, and then for the next 45 minutes to an hour, they go around in the wasteland
and show us
series of
refinery
fights with prisoners, interspersed with refinery shots, and then we get to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I actually do know where we're going.
I know, but that's just I'm shocked and constantly amazed that you know where we're going. Because that's, to me, that's what happened. My brain just condensed it down because it was so boring.
I think your version is probably fewer brain cells of permanent storage that has been burned for this. It's probably a wiser investment on your body's part.
This movie really needed to be cooked down. It needed to be
injected in a crystalline form.
Yeah.
they arrive at this compound that's like this shitty compound. It's just a hole in the ground with some plastic over it. And Luger is down there looking for Decker, and he sees like this like company jacket that's been like hung up, and he's entranced by it. He's touching it, and then he pulls on it a little bit, and a decapitated head falls down. And it's so stupid because it only falls exactly like 6 inches into it. He could clearly have seen it if he just moved his head like 20 degrees up.
With a face that big, you don't move it.
It moves you.
And so they know that they're hot on the trail of Decker. They're hot on the trail.
And I forgot to explain we're doing this because Jeffrey's in love with this girl.
Yeah.
That's why he's paying her to do this. I don't know if we explained that.
We did.
Okay. See, I forgot what was happening, and I'm forgetting it now when we talked about it.
It's really like not a crucial plot point since.
Well, it makes no sense because even before, like, she's established as like a shallow and vapid person, and her father talks down to the driver.
There's no love for these characters. Like, I don't care if they find her or not. I don't care if she's gonna become the girlfriend of the big bad guy in the movie. It's like, okay.
The bad guy is like the only interesting person at all in the movie.
Yeah. And that's saying a lot.
And then so they find the head on a rope.
And then
we just sound defeated when we're talking.
They're on the trail of Decker, and they find him, and they try to ambush him in this junk area, which clearly has the blue shelf and the back of the Pinto that have just been thrown on this heap of shit. It's obviously partially production garbage that's just tossed over there, and they fail. Decker and Chaz get caught. And then
get buried up.
Or Luger and Chaz get caught, and Decker buries them up to their necks in the dirt, so that they will be eaten by animals. Or
I still feel if I was in that position, I could get out.
You think so?
It just feels like, well, your arms wouldn't be that far below the surface. It's like,
well, let's pause the podcast. We'll go outside. We'll bury you in the ground.
I'm in.
And we'll see if you can get out.
This is Jake's up to the neck challenge.
I don't know if the Strata's
I'm doing this for ALS. I'm defeating Lou Gehrig's disease by burying myself in the ground.
I think I like that better. There's a much more of a person.
We gotta stay on track.
Stay on target. Stay on
Get
target.
out. Who gives a shit? Some guy lets them go. They need supplies.
Oh wait, no, it's the junk guy who lives in the junkyard with his shitty
daughter.
Tina Yothers as his sister.
His sister.
Like sister, right?
Right.
Barnacle
They need
Betty.
stuff, so they are going to trade plague pills, which Jeffrey has. Were they real plague pills, or were they just passing off Tylenol as plague pills?
He said they were vitamins, so they're like not valueless, and he clearly wants them.
Yeah.
And he gives them to the guy in exchange for his sister and
Oil
or gas or something.
yeah, they get.
Why the sister? Because
I don't remember.
Hauser
Hauser just wanted her.
decides that he wants Jeffrey Combs. I didn't say it all the way. He only gave me
That
punch.
totally counts.
To take the girl because he thinks it's funny.
I question mark.
But it doesn't really matter
Because
because
question mark.
all of a scene and a half later, she's dead.
Yeah, really. She was they acquire her, and it was actually
An acquisition.
Yeah, and she seems to think that like she now belongs to Jeffrey Combs.
She goes
And
straight for him.
she totally wants to have
And he's
sex
all
with
like,
him,
"No,
and he's
no,
like,
no,
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 I
no."
love somebody else. And then she dies
Yeah.
the next morning.
Yeah, they just wake up in the morning, like, cut to scene, and she
okay,
just-
And they say it's for the best.
We're gonna cover her in a tarp and get the fuck out.
yeah, just leave.
Nobody
We see
has
a lot of
to-
bodies around just covered in tarps, so that seems to be like the appropriate way to deal with plague
That's how they
bodies.
do it, in the future.
Yeah.
Boo.
Then what happens?
And then it's what's his nuts, the junk dealer told us all about Cafe Death.
Oh,
Right.
fuck.
Is this Cafe Death time now?
This is Cafe Death Time.
Cafe Death.
See, I thought this was the same club they've been going to.
No.
Different place.
Different
This
class.
is
Why
more
were they going
performance
there
art.
again? They're just trying to find him, right? That's
Yes,
where he would
looking
go.
for more looking for Decker.
And so we go to Cafe Death.
Which is essentially the same cafe.
It's got a stage this time,
Yeah.
and Jamie said the patrons look like a smattering of like shitty Aladdins.
Oh, look like homeless Aladdins.
Well, the characters that came out of the door with the Asian hats on.
Yeah. Some guy looks like Guitar Wolf. Yeah, like the craziest.
But wearing like harem pants and
harem
dirty
pants
vests.
and a dirty vest. They do look like a homeless Aladdin. It's pretty amazing. And they've got a woman with crazy fingernails doing performance art.
She looks kind of like Lori Petty.
Yeah, which performance art means.
Well, I thought Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, sort
Yeah.
of mixed like that.
They're covering a young man in a suit with gasoline, and
Then, like-
for the longest time, which feels like 100 million years, they're teasing that they're going to light him on fire, and then they actually light him on fire.
Yeah, they're using the torch to like trace around him on the wall, like to kind of burn his outline into the wall in the hopes that like maybe the flame being so close to his gasoline soaked body that he'll actually catch on fire. And the crowd is really
There's no
angry.
maybe. He totally would have. Yeah.
Yes.
It would have happened right at the very
first
beginning.
time.
Yeah.
But they needed to stretch it out because
That's what
movie
they
hates
do.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a 20-minute scene.
Every scene seems like a 20-minute. And the shots at the refineries seem like 20-minute scenes. I was like, when you told me this movie was an hour and a half, I'm like, I don't believe you. I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah,
I don't believe you.
We had to stop halfway through because our son was crying, getting up from his nap, and I looked. Oh, we're only 45 minutes in. And everyone was like, "What the fuck? No way!" I thought they were wrapping this up. This movie's got to be over.
That was at the first confrontation.
Yeah, no sir. Yeah, we're still going, and we're going to where Matt.
So Cafe Death. Why were we here? Why were we?
They're looking for Decker
But they got a tip or something. They
from Junkyard Dog.
sent them there, but who gives a shit?
They
They get there, Decker. The girl keeps acting as bait.
Oh yeah.
So this is the second time though, right?
Yeah.
She's out in the car and like, oh, she's actually Combs and
They fall for the honey pot
Hauser
again.
get into a bit of a like, why are you gonna drink so much? Fuck you, get out of the bar. He goes outside, comes back in. Oh, guess what? She's actually just sitting in the car outside. Let's just go get her.
Yeah.
Movie over.
Yeah.
We all got a little bit excited in the pants.
Yeah.
Movie's about to be over. Fuck no. They go, she's bait. A fight ensues.
Yeah, Luger gets knocked over the head,
Yeah.
thrown into the trunk.
Oh, yeah, and then he hooks him up to the jumper cables and he's
the
like
alternator, yeah.
revving the engine.
Another 20-minute scene is Decker in the car laughing his ass off as he's revving the engine.
That actually, and this is literally goes on for at least 3 or 4 minutes of him just revving and laughing and showing Hauser on the ground, revving and laughing, revving and laughing over and over and over.
And he's sure after he's done this that he's killed Luger. He's gonna throw it, and he throws him on the pile of bodies that he has over there. And then Chaz goes and finds him, and he like pats him on the face and strokes his hair for what seems to be 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, it was really
It's
weird.
vaguely sexual.
Yeah.
And Luger's awake. Luger's not dead, so he stays with him until morning. And they're like, okay, for real this time,
We're gonna go get him.
we're gonna get him. For real.
For real, not for play.
So they've already been buried, left for dead, gone out.
Yeah.
He's been shot. Shocked.
Yeah.
And then now this is the third time round. Where did they go?
They just miraculously knew where
Yeah, they
they
just
were. And they were like,
went to him. Like
they find the girl sleeping in the Christian school bus.
oh right, now we're back in the junkyard or something.
Yeah, and Chaz sees her, and then Luger tries and pull her out of the bus, and then
But it's another trap.
It's another trap.
She's the blue shelf there.
Oh, that's right. This is where
it-
she's
I don't-
laying in the awkward position with her
Like to tag.
her shirt ripped half open and just like perfectly. Who sleeps like that?
She's like the cover of a Marvel comic.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they freeze framed on a porno at that exact frame, and then like drew it like that.
So then, they try to get her out. Then, of course, it's another trap. Decker and what's his face get into a fight, which ends up turning into a car chase.
Does it?
No, not a car chase. He gets into his car. Decker gets in his car, takes off,
and he
turns
tries
around to
to
play chicken.
Yeah, and by this time, Chaz has already been stabbed, or not stabbed, punched with a knife.
Yeah, as you said, punched with a knife. We thought,
A couple of times, but it's not even a big deal.
Straight up
Really.
punches him with a knife. You have to see it to believe it, but it's not a stab.
Not a stab, it's a punch with a knife.
So Chaz is not dead, although we had assumed.
We thought he was, yeah.
As normally people would get stabbed.
And they actually totally glossed over too. I mean, yes, there was a little blood on his shirt, but he was fine, really. It's like, oh, I just got.
It was pretty brutal.
I
Like,
thought he punched him with a knife right in the heart. Which is, that's still fatal, right?
punching in the heart, stab in the heart is not fatal because it's a punch. Now stabbing in the heart, that's fatal.
If you stab him in between heartbeats, you could stop his heart.
Exactly. That's how that works. Oh, I'm having crazy deja vu. Did this happen in the last shitty movie we
I
watched?
don't think it did.
It feels like it did.
Okay, so he tries to run him over with his car, but Hauser jumps out of the way just in
Stops him
time.
with his face. No, wait.
Shoots, but I don't think he hit him. And anyways, he
No.
rolls his car.
Yeah, he like jumps his car off of a ramp,
perfectly,
which was
perfectly positioned dirt ramp.
and then Luger assumes that he's dead, and turns around to try and find the girl and find Chaz, and
He
then
finds
He's
Chaz laying
alive.
there.
Yeah, and the girl is tending to Jeffrey. Yeah, because he's somehow alive. Yep.
and Decker wakes up, even
gets
though he
up.
has like massive brain.
Yeah, and
injury.
he has like they did a good job on the makeup on that. It looks like he's got
brain's
brains
exposed.
gushing out of his head, and he's like, "No, I'm still good. I have no hand tendons. I have no brains. It's like I don't need. I'm just a train. I go forward." So he gets out of the car. I just keep going for it.
Yeah.
So he's creeping up behind, but the girl doesn't warn them. But at the same time, she's scared.
I don't have any relation, sense of where anyone is on the scene.
Well, right now, this is when they think he's dead. Hauser
I know,
runs
but
up to Chaz. He's like, "Oh, buddy."
I mean, where the characters are in the scene.
They're
so
near the bus where
when
the
he's
fight-
when
They're
he's
right
thinking
over by
about-
the refinery. Yeah.
They're near the refinery.
Didn't they show you that? You didn't see that?
Where's the shelf? I need the shelf in order to get my bearings.
it's just
The blue
over
shelf
there.
next to the refinery.
There's True North, and then there's Magnetic Shelf. And you gotta know what you're.
How many blue shelves are there in this world?
Oh god.
So he comes back, and the girl shoots him.
Well, he
Yeah,
grabs.
she
Decker
grabs
picks
the-
up the gun, and then he opens it up, spins it, shuts it, throws it down.
Oh yeah,
the ground.
he's implying that they're gonna do Russian roulette, but then the girl picks up the gun that he lost in the first fight. That was still lying there, picks him up and shoots him 3 times in the chest, which after a crippling car injury should kill a person.
Yeah.
Of course, but did he go down after that?
Yeah, he goes
He's
down.
finally dead. Yeah. No more Decker.
And then
There's the light at the end of the tunnel for this movie.
Coming, you guys will soon be done with it.
And then Luger talks to Chaz, and Chaz reveals to him that there's been a cure for the plague the whole time.
5 years.
For 5 years.
Yeah.
And then Luger's like, "What the shit? You people had kept this away from people for so long." And he's like, "Oh, it's all laws and testing and stuff."
Fucking FDA, right?
Right? The government.
Yeah.
Government.
Vaguely the government.
And so Luger just sort of fucks off, and then Chaz and the girl go find an ambulance, which is in a Ford Aerostar van or
There's a lot of
something.
more Aerostars in this future. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
They had a deal.
The most futuristic
They were on
vehicle they could find.
It says
their budget.
Aerostar.
For under
right?
$2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the final scene of the movie is one of the corporate news broadcasts with Casey Wong telling us that what's his nuts Luger is wanted because he broke free of custody, and he stole some secret documents that talk about the cure, and that the company's looking for the documents, and he says, "Oh, it's a hoax. There's no cure for the plague." Wink, wink.
Wink,
Yeah,
wink.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So saying that business as usual for Big Brother, right, guys?
Yeah.
And lady, of course.
And they don't ever, the news never mentioned the death of the CEO of the major company. Like,
No.
none of that was newsworthy. But like, oh, suicide.
It's just a shitty attempt to rip off RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah, good way.
It didn't really work.
So what about the music in this movie?
A guy sat on a synthesizer about 5 times.
Yeah. Weird. Yeah, they are stings like that. We were deliberate, but holy fuck.
All the keys.
Tonal to the flat.
We need lower tones. Other side of the keyboard. Other end.
Sit on
The other
C2.
end. Yeah, just
C2.
all of them. Just hit them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're done.
No, imagine like some guy sitting there leaning his elbow on a keyboard in a studio, and there's a guy sitting there at a soundboard with his headphones, and he's pushing up on the sliders, and he gives the big thumbs up.
That's it. Done.
You nailed it. Also, the gore effects were pretty decent. Like
They were
When
terrible.
they did them, there were a lot of things that really could have been done.
Everything else was cheap as fuck.
We can't be too proud of them either. They maybe it took them a long time. Maybe it was a big deal for the makeup artists in this movie to do it, but they don't have to sit there and like show us for 15 seconds per death shot. It's like get a good look. There, it's right there.
Everything else is
Yeah,
cheap as
that's
fuck and
right.
clumsy.
Okay, this butt.
Tedious.
Done.
Too long. Final favorite moments. The end. I guess.
The ending?
That's the classic hack joke. Yeah, not very good. So, how many ratings should we give this? What should we rate this out of?
White Girls Who Love Fall.
blue shells?
How many blue shells?
Oh, how many blue shells?
How many
Yeah.
blue shells
That's
trump the fall?
5. This rating that doesn't really make sense because we get the strangest things 4.
How many?
I will
blue
go
shells?
first. I give this a fucking 2. I hated this movie. Yes, I hated this movie. Yeah, I can't think of anything I really enjoyed it. I wanted it to be over. Making fun of Wings Hauser and laughing with you guys was the only good thing about it. Mad Attack.
I concur. I give this 1 blue shelf out of 5. There's a reason that this movie is hard to find because I think most of the people involved or who have seen it since know better.
I wouldn't doubt it if there's a coalition out there dedicated to destroying this film. They try to find copies and ruin them.
It's like the Da Vinci Code. It's like the secret society. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to self-flagellate it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with
Until
Matt
we're all
on this one.
destroyed.
I'm going with 1 metal blue shelf out of 5 metal blue shelves. Like it is horrible. And again, we've seen some shit, and this is shit. It's boring. Even Jeffrey couldn't save it. No, and he tried. Like, let's be very clear. His acting was amazing.
He was still Jeffrey.
He was still Jeffrey. Well, we'll get to the rating of Jeffrey, but like he was good at it.
Yeah.
He was some of the better acting in this, but he just couldn't save it.
Yep. Drake.
Well, I'm going to give this 1 of the shitty blue shelves, not the nice pristine one you first saw. I'm going to talk about the one that was after being
yes.
chucked into by Decker. It's been ruined. It's on the trash heap collecting desk.
Scotland has been thrown.
It was absolutely a nightmare to make it through this movie, and it wasn't even just because of the fact that it was old VHS. I think that actually added to it.
It made me
was
think
kind of
of my
nice.
childhood.
Added a certain warmth.
Yeah, and it had some nostalgia in that sense, but for me, it was the fact that they really felt the need to drag out every single shot. I'm not talking just the scenes and whatever. Every shot, they dragged them out. They spent too much time treating its audience like we can't do it.
And there were
right from the get-go, when the words come up, it's like, oh, you might be able to read, but we're going to read them to you. We want you to hear them like this. So there's nothing left for us to just experience. We're being told and we're being forced to view these things. Look at the makeup we did. Look, this is where the setting is. This is where the setting is.
Look at
this
the
is where
setting.
the setting is. The setting is here. This is the setting.
Where's the setting?
Yeah.
Here's the setting.
Right here.
Did you see the makeup we did?
And it's that. And it's over and over and over. It's like there's one thing to do, like the shot in the bar where they're showing the Russian roulette, the tense of the chainsaw against the neck. I felt that tension for a moment, and that's all that scene needed. It didn't need to go further, but they come back, they do it again with another 2 random characters I'm not going to care about, and it ruins it.
I just think that they thought that it was the most clever thing in the world that these guys would try and have creative Russian roulette ways of killing themselves.
But the gun one was not creative.
They just couldn't get over the idea that it was so clever. So they're like, we have to use that.
That's
such a great idea.
It almost felt like their MO behind a lot of this movie was we need to fill time.
Yeah.
We cannot drag that. We don't have a long enough to consider this a movie. So it's like we need to add time
Because there
somewhere.
were too many events leading to the rescue. Like it should have ended like 3 or 4 sequences in. Like there was a fight, there was almost capture. Like like.
Well, there's what 3 or 4 confrontations in this movie.
Exactly.
It's like in how many movies does it actually work where you have more than 2?
Yeah.
Like the bad guy is supposed to be established as bad, and you spend the time chasing him because he's bad.
And maybe you almost get close just once, and they kind of they trick you.
But they cut your face by hurting your friends and your family, and they make the hero hate them by doing shit to them. In this case, the motivation's just not there, so they can't do any of that. This guy just spends his time hanging out in the wasteland, trapping them by leaving the girl out in the open because he has nothing better to do.
What did I say, that the cutting room floor was spotless because it's all up there on the screen? They did not cut anything. It's all gold. All gold.
Somebody was clearly on something heavy while making this. But either way, I'll give it that one crappy shell.
One from Jake. All around, generally terrible. So we'll move on to how Jeffrey is Jeffrey. The low rating of Jeffrey would be 1 for Frightmare, introductory, and 10 for From Beyond, where he's full on just mouth acting the fuck out of it. So we'll start with you, Jake. Out of 1 to 10, how Jeffrey is Jeffrey?
I'm gonna give him a 7.
7.
Yeah, he does the thing. He's got the mouth. He's still. To me, he was still the same as some of the other movies. Like his character didn't really change too much. But like Bunny said, he wasn't given much to work with. There was no interaction with characters really, other than just deliver your line,
mashing them
accept
together.
your line, move forward,
got punched
deliver
with
your
a
line.
knife.
Yeah,
He got punched
he
with a
took
knife.
he took a knife punch like a champ.
Yes, he really did.
He survived. He didn't even seem to care.
Yeah.
Barely any blood. What a champ.
Bunny, how Jeffrey is Jeffrey?
5 out of 10 Jeffreys.
5 out of
I just
10.
don't think that he was given the chance to shine. It wasn't any fault of his.
Middle of the road Jeffrey.
He was mild, mild mannered.
Jeffrey.
Mild mannered.
Mild Jeffrey rating.
Yeah.
Matt?
I agree with a 5 or a 10.
Yeah, I have to go
Yeah.
5 or 6. Yeah, just I don't know. He's in this movie, but he's not really in this movie very much.
His mouth looked really good.
Yeah,
It did. Yeah.
He does some grimacing.
He looked.
They had some neat
I
camera
like the
work
silver
there.
streak.
Yeah, I was
Silver
gonna say,
Streak was
yeah.
There was
something else, eh?
some shadowing when we first see him in one of the Russian roulette bars, right? And the kind of shadowing catches his forehead and kind of makes him look more severe, and he's got spatters of blood on his face.
Yeah.
So that was pretty. I don't know. They were playing with his face there a bit. He looked pretty. I don't know.
Oh God, I
Mutated or something.
Because that scene was still at the beginning of the movie. There was so much movie left.
I'm sorry
Oh,
to keep
my
bringing this up to Trump.
Yeah, when I think about the beginning of the movie, I'm like, oh, there's so much movie.
There really should be a trigger warning with this episode. People who are, affected by tedium, please do not listen to this episode. We could say that for all of us.
God.
Hi-oh. Trivia? There isn't any.
There's any.
Nothing on the IMDb,
fucking
except for
shit.
one guy who said that he worked on this in the bar. In the bar scene, he said Wings Hauser was the nicest motherfucker he's ever met. Didn't really talk to Jeffrey. Got to work with him though. He said Wings was class act all the way. Him and his giant face.
I guess it's trivia that Jeffrey's name was spelled wrong.
Oh yes, that is one thing. He's you're thinking, they spelled
Jeffrey.
They spelled it Coombs. No, they spelled Jeffrey wrong.
Yeah.
Jeffrey. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. That's how little
Jeffrey.
shit they gave.
Yeah.
We had no time. We have all this footage. We can't bother to spell check the.
One of the main actors in our film.
He gets the and. Oh, did they spell it wrong at the beginning or just at the end?
I didn't check at the beginning, but I did at the end because
Yeah.
I googled it while we were watching it.
Right, because you were bored.
Yeah, I was fucking bored. I was trying desperately to pick out the nuggets of what was happening, but also stay engaged in life and
In something else.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess no more IMDb questions. Again, this movie is so little well known. No DVD release, so hard to find. So I guess we'll move on to recommendations. Starting with the recommendations, we'll start with Bunny.
Bloodsport.
Bloodsport, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie?
No, it's not Bloodsport.
Blood of Heroes?
Blood of Heroes, yes. Blood of Heroes with Rutger Hauer
And Joan Chen.
and Joan. Woo woo woo, Joan Chen.
Well, that's your impression of Joan Chen.
Woo woo woo, Harry.
She does sort of do that all the time. But it's about, what's it about?
Post-apocalyptic. Basically is it chemical? I can't remember if it's chemical kind of apocalypse or the ozone's
The whole
gone or
world's a
something.
desert.
The whole world. Well, yeah. So the whole world's a desert, and
all the rich live under.
all the rich live underground, and they're all kind of like they hinted at in this one, they're kind of fascinated by sickness and disease and by the poor, and then so up above in the wastelands, basically the only way to really excel at life is to become
Jugger.
a jugger, which is essentially dog skull football.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
so
awesome.
it's
Have you
right.
not seen it, Matt?
Oh my god.
It is super good because it does have Rutger Hauer before he got doughy, and he's on his way to dotem, but he's not.
Dotem.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Mid-budget. They do
Yeah.
fantastic stuff, like the elevator scene, them going down.
Yeah, because it's
there's
like
a
they
scene
live
where
stories
it's
underground.
so long of them, like they're sleeping for hours in this elevator. Is
Going down into
Now
the
that's
earth.
a scene where it makes sense for them to keep showing it.
And the different levels, of course,
Well-
the further you get down, the poorer or the better you get. So
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good Blood of Heroes.
Blood of Heroes, not Blood Sports.
Mad Attack.
Oh, I don't have one yet
Yeah.
right now.
Oh, any movie recommendation at all?
Anything but this one.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of something obscure, but like I
It
want to
doesn't
watch
matter
it
anything
again.
you've seen yet. We'll come back to you if you
Yeah,
want.
sure.
Jake.
Okay, well, if you want to have something on par with this movie that's absolute garbage but pretty funny to gawk at and laugh at, I'm going to recommend Guy from Harlem.
Oh my god.
Oh my God, it's right. That's the only other time in my movie watching career, life, whatever, I've felt like, what am I doing?
With my life.
Why? Why is this on screen?
That is it.
Why is this in front of me and why can't I look away? Anyways, there's that. But if I want to recommend something that actually is not a terrible watch, I just watched Space Station 76.
Oh, what's that about?
It's really neat. It's like a dark comedy, sort of. It's just about a group of people that live on this space station. It's a very small group of people, and right at the beginning, Liv Tyler plays one of the main characters. She shows up. She's a new transfer to this station, and so it's just about them all either accepting or rejecting her being in their space, and exploring and showing the type of people that are living on this very small space station. Who knows where? And who knows when in the future. I didn't pay close attention. The ending kind of falls on its face a bit, but overall it was a fun watch.
Yeah. I'm going to recommend a movie that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It's called Europa Report. Came out a couple years ago from recording this. It's one of those movies that it's shot in, it's a found footage, but it makes sense because it's all these different cameras in this ship as they're going towards Europa to do the first scientific exploration to get under there because they've discovered there's water underneath there
Under
for
the
sure.
surface,
So they got to find stuff there. It's beautifully shot, wonderfully paced. It's essentially a suicide mission. They know that they're probably not going to find anything or even make it back. It's like the first mission of anything is almost always a disaster, but it's wonderful. Good acting, and just sort of a sleeper hit. That good hard sci-fi.
It was really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. Matt, do you have any recommendations? Think about it?
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking. I'll give a VHS recommendation for The Stuff,
Oh, there we go.
which is a 1986 horror film about yogurt that takes over the earth.
Anyone born in the 70s knows this cover because it was in every movie store. I didn't see it till much later. Yeah, it's a great piece of shit. It's not even a piece of shit. Yeah,
It's got like Michael Madsen, I think, in it, and a bunch of there are some celebrities from the 80s that are in it.
a good B movie like Tremors, you know what I mean? Not as high production values, but just a good, watchable B film.
The concept that people would find yogurt underground and decide to eat it, not knowing what it is, and then package it as a foodstuff. And yeah, it's just a really
It's a
great
tale
premise.
as old as time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Do you guys have anything else to add to this?
Oh yeah, I totally recognize that.
What, you looking at the cover? Yeah, the stuff.
I actually have a copy on VHS.
Oh, there we go.
I went as the stuff for Halloween one
You
year.
went as the stuff for Halloween? Is that a gray sheet?
What I did is I made a yogurt container that was like a perfect replica of the one, and then
amazing.
and I painted myself white, and then I jumped out of the yogurt.
Amazing, sir. Your arts and crafts are second to none.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You guys have anything else to add to the podcast before we wrap it up? No. Oh, we've been watching
And let's pull the plug, please. Done.
We're watching a couple crappier ones before we get back into this. But I guess that's it.
What's up on deck?
I believe now we have cellar dwellers and pulse pounders. I'm not sure exactly, but
Both sound
I've
exhilarating.
never heard.
Should we do a twofer and just try and blast through?
Oh yeah, wouldn't that be great? We should plow through them. Don't have to waste more of our life. Okay, I guess that just wrap it up to say my name's Jamie. My voice sounds like this.
My name is Matt. My voice sounds like this.
I'm Bunny. My voice sounds like this.
And Jake, my voice sounds like this.
Goodbye. Oh, want to email us?
Is there
finetoothpodcast@gmail.com. Goodbye. Don't watch that movie.